Welcome Lower School to week 7 of our English sessions. What I thought we start, similarly with that page that we had the similes, this page is fantastic. It shows the palace that the girl has now sailed her boat into. It is a beautiful picture and the detail is fantastic. What we'll do is we'll share a picture of it later on in the video, so make sure you keep an eye out for it and try and have a look. Maybe you could come up with some feelings that you might feel if you were the one sailing into it. Maybe you could talk about the senses and try and write down some description around that. But this week's focus for our grammar lessons is commas for lists. So, when making a list, commas are the most common way to separate one list item from the next. There are two very important rules that we need to remember when we write a list using commas. We put a comma after every word in the list except the last one. So let's just take a look at an example, shall we? I didn't know whether to laugh, comma, cry, or scream. So as you can see, there was a comma in between laugh and cry, but there wasn't a comma before the last option. So, why is that? Well, we put and, or, an or, before or between the last two words. So let's have another look at another example. The monster was gigantic, comma, hideous, and smelly. So as you can see, we've got gigantic, which is an adjective. We've used a comma, and we've used another adjective. And we've got a third adjective that we want to describe the monster. So we use and then another adjective. Let's look at an example in a different sentence. So, my favourite fruit is a banana, comma, apples, and oranges. So as you can see, we've got our comma in between banana and apples, and then we use and before our final item in our list. Okay, so let me just say that one more time. We've got our first item, then a comma, our second item, and then our final or third item. Let's look at one more example, shall we? He clung onto the rope, thinking of all the things he had to do. Wash the car, comma, read, and walk the dog. So again, we've got our first item, which is wash the car, second item, which is read, and third item, which is walk the dog. But what does the commas for lists look like when we look at this picture that I've described at the beginning of the video? Well, I came up with some. Now, what I've done is I've done it so that we can see what the girl might be saying. I've gone through a mysterious door, comma, walked through a forest, and sailed down a river. So let's take a look. We've got our first item, which is gone through a mysterious door, walked through the forest as our second item. We've used and to separate our last item, and then our last item is sailed down a river. Our next one is slightly longer. So, I mean I haven't packed properly. I've forgotten a smart dress as our first item. What do you notice after our first item? That's correct, a comma. Some smart shoes as our second item. What did you notice? A comma. Our third item is a gift. And finally, what have we used in order to separate our third item from our final item? Did you see it? It was and. And as you can see, our third item in this, our fourth item is Pickles, who in this story is her cat. So she's put my cat, as she would have liked to have met royalty. So as you can see, we use commas to separate list items. What I challenge you this week is can you, using this picture, come up with some of your own lists using commas and remembering to have and or between the last two. I can't wait to see them, and neither can any of your teachers. Why not publish them on Purple Mash on the blog so that we can see? And I look forward to sharing with you next week our new grammar focus.